How's it going, everyone? Hope you're having a great week, and thank you so much for listening to the show. This is an interview that I did with Chris Jolly, the freight coach himself, a couple weeks ago on a live call on YouTube, LinkedIn. We did a live show and we talked about everything from eating healthy on the road to how to exercise and just get into a healthy routine on the road as a truck driver. So hope you enjoy the show.
Chicken trucking, big wheels there humming, high rate of fuel consumption, missing mama, needing loving, rolling with the weight of sound. Running like the southern shaker, I don't need no 40 acres to turn this rig around.
Today's topic of conversation is one, I'll be the first one to admit I've struggled with my weight my entire life. I was extremely obese at one point. I was like 270 pounds. I was depressed. I hated the way I looked. It finally got to a point where I needed to make the necessary changes. I had to accept that I was the one that was causing me to be overweight. And there was no outside force, like the bags of Doritos just didn't magically show up. I bought them, and I also found an addiction to working out now. They're like, you can't every single morning. Well, I just like everybody, I'm a human. I suffer from back issues. So, my L4, L5 is out on my spine. It pinches when it flares up, it gets my sciatic nerve and I can barely move. And I'm like bedridden. But when that's not going on though, I am in the gym 5-6 days a week because like, that's my therapy. That's where I go. And I know that not everybody has that opportunity due to their jobs. Like a lot of our drivers out there, they don't have the abilities. I mean, I know some drivers might throw some free weights and everything in their trucks, but like the road it's difficult to stay on task in your fitness and then even your diet. So I have Mark Manera here today. We've connected a while ago, and Mark's a great guy. He's on a mission to really help out in the driver fitness community and everything else. So Mark, how did you get to here? Like, what was it? I see you're a doctor now. So do I have to call you Dr. Mark? Is that how this goes?
Depends on the interview goes. No, I'm joking. No. So yeah, like Chris, I appreciate you having me on. My name is Mark Manera. I'm the founder and CEO of the Trucking Fitness Company, and I'm also a doctor of physical therapy. And how I got here was actually working with drivers in a PT clinic and rehabbing them. And that was kind of my first experience because unlike a lot of people in the industry who grow up with generation in the industry, I didn't have a background in trucking. And that opportunity of working with drivers in a clinic and rehabbing them, and there was a couple that I can specifically remember, the moment where it kind of clicked when I wanted to do something about it, just really inspired me to start something and, help a population that I really feel like lacks resources and guidance that's really specific to their lifestyle. Because like you mentioned earlier, trucking and being on the road, it's completely different than someone who works a 9-to-5 and is home and has the ability to go to the gym every single day. And I think when you have a lifestyle that has different constraints like that, there needs to be a solution that is tailored specifically to them. And that's kind of what our mission is.
Okay. I love it, man. I think like taking that on. So you're a physical therapist and that's where you got your exposure. Was it like, what was a common injury amongst drivers? Like what was it that was bringing them into your practice? Was there a theme to it or?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the research and you look at specifically like work comp claims, there's a lot of neck, shoulder, and low back problems. But the driver actually specifically who I was working with was overweight, diabetic, osteoporotic, and he actually just had a total knee replacement, and I was rehabbing his total knee. So that was kind of the person who sparked it, and it's kind of just been a go since then. Yeah. And yeah.
So what? This is what could somebody do like to not, because like, I mean, obviously the drivers are sitting all day long. They're jumping in and out of the cabs of their truck. What is something they can do inside of their sleeper in regard? I mean, is it stretching? Like what would be step one for somebody in this situation right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think step one is kind of what you recognized right at the beginning was to recognize there needs to be a change, right? I think if you don't have that personal, like, hey, I need to make a change, the reason why I need to make a change, if it's your family, if it's your personal or mental health, because physical and mental health go hand in hand. But I think you need to recognize, hey, I need to make a change. And then where I think a lot of people go wrong. And, I think there are some people with the personality that it works great for, but I think people try to make this huge 180 flip in their life and change everything at once. And that works for about a week, and then you fall off. That's why New Year's resolutions work. And then January 7th comes in, you're back to eating the Doritos. So I think figuring out a way where you can make one change at a time, and just focusing on one thing. So if it's wanting to be eating healthier, okay, let's focus on that. If it's wanting to start exercising, okay, let's focus on that. And starting there, and then building up wins, and building, the habits, and just slowly changing your lifestyle from there. And that's kind of what we try to preach to the drivers.
To be honest with you, that was what, like, we're going to use myself as a prime example here. Cause over the last probably 18 months, I've lost about 50 pounds.
Dude, that's awesome. That's amazing.
But it wasn't that I did a 360 overnight and was like, all right, I'm done with all of this stuff. I mean, like, my diet is the biggest thing that I struggle with, even still to this day.
Same.
But like, mine was I started switching out. It was my breakfast, like I started just doing plain oatmeal most of the times, or I was making eggs, but I wasn't using butter in my eggs. I wasn't using anything. It was just nonstick cooking spray. And then like a lean meat, I would get like turkey sausage or turkey bacon. And I know some people are like, oh, I don't want to try that shit. And I mean, that is what it is. But that's where I found it was that. And then I started adding in like a steamed rice to my lunch. And like, here's the thing, Mark, like, I was still taking like fatty meats. Like, I was taking like a brat, for example. I'm from Wisconsin. I love brats.
Dude,
but I was taking that, and instead of throwing it on a bun, I'd chop it up and toss it on the rice. And then I'd put, I'd measure out my ketchup. I'd measure out the rice, and a food scale was my savior in this, because I would weigh out everything. Because again, you can overeat even with healthy foods. You can overeat because like your body needs again, this is just me personally. My body, when it comes down to it, it's very calorie focused, like it's calorie in, calorie out. And I'm not necessarily like counting them per se, but I know what I need in a day to and I know the foods that work for me, that help me digest foods better. Like, here's the thing: white rice, plain potatoes, and plain oatmeal, I digest super quick. Like, I can eat them within like an hour and a half. I can already feel it, digesting. And that's the thing, is I think like you got to find the foods that, because everybody's body types are differently. Like, you're talking about those small incremental changes. You got to find what foods work for you, because there isn't, no matter what, like, I'm not a fitness expert or anything like that, but I'm an expert in what my body reacts to. What works for me doesn't work for somebody else. And you got to find that in your comfort of what is going to work for you, because you can't just follow a certain diet that everybody else is doing, because you might not see the results of that.
And I think you hit the nail on the head there, because, you go on Google and you search, hey, weight loss diet or how to lose weight. Yeah. And you get 1,000 different diets with 1,000 different experts saying this is the right way to go. And when you take a step back, I guess when you look at it in like the microscope, looking at one source, it's like, oh, this is the way I got to do it. But when you look back, there are people with every single one of those diets who are losing weight. And I think it kind of takes a step back and say, okay, what is the principle of how weight loss works? Because when we talk about drivers, 85% of drivers are overweight. And that's kind of our main focus of how can we help them lose weight? And I look at weight loss as this, and I look at it as like a seesaw, right? And the principle is basically on one side of the seesaw is how many calories your body burns. So that's exercise. And that's also like you just sitting there, your body is burning calories. So your organs function, your brain function, and everything. And so we all have a set amount, and we don't even have to get into the details of metabolism and all that works, but you've got a set amount. On the other side of the seesaw, you have how many calories you eat or consume that day. And if the calories are over the amount that you burn that day, you're going to gain weight over time. It's not going to happen today if you have one, you go to the Chinese buffet one time, but over time, if the trends are there, you're going to start gaining weight. On the opposite side, if you're under that calorie deficit or you're in a caloric deficit, you're going to lose weight. And you can do that in any way. You want to stop eating fats, or if you want to stop eating carbs and do a more keto, that's awesome if that works for your lifestyle. If you want to intermittent fast and cut down the amount of time that you are consuming calories, you're taking in less calories overall. And that's kind of where the personal preference comes in. You got to figure out what works for you.
Yeah.
And it's all personalized to what you can do on a consistent basis, and also what fits into your lifestyle, because everyone lives a little bit different lifestyle.
Mhm.
Everyone has different preferences, and foods are part of your culture. For some, it's part of your religion. For some,
Yep.
it's how you celebrate. It's how, it's all of these things. So it's just a lot more than just fuel for your body. And I think that's really important for someone to understand.
No, absolutely. I'm just jumping into the comments here for a second. Jesus, I'm all tongue tied today. Mr. John Radvansky over on YouTube. John, thank you so much for joining. Monty King, is the audio? It says that you can see. Can you just let me know if the audio isn't up there and running on that? Brian Runnels. I don't know what your letters mean behind your name, but I'm assuming it's important. That it would be that this is the basis for my CDS exhibit. We instituted a hands and JHA training to avoid the neck, back, and shoulder injuries. NOSA, healthy food options at truck stops. Mark, we'll touch on that. And then Brendan Dawson wants to know about the quality of the calories as well. Can we speak on the quality of the calories? And then Monty King, I'm assuming, yeah, he's good now. Perfect. Thanks, Monty. That the ROI is exponential, indirectly and directly to the bottom line. All right, so let's start with Brian's comment. Do you know what the JHA training is to avoid any of that? Or
no, I'm not. Okay. I'm not sure. I'm not seeing it exactly. So I might see.
Okay,
if I
cool.
saw it, I might know it. But
for sure, Brian, maybe you could put a little more clarification in there on what that was. It looks like it was just training to avoid those neck, back, and shoulder injuries they could do. So yeah, Brian, if you have a link or something you want to drop in the comments, that if you have something put out there for it, please feel free. Let's talk about healthy food options at truck stops, because again, I think that when you're out there on the road, it's like, and this is why, a couple of posts out there, the importance of meal prepping for me, because otherwise I go for those easy, like I got a 10-year-old son, man, we got goldfish. We got a bunch of great stuff in our cabinet right now. But to me, it is the importance of food prepping. But when I'm out on the road, for example, I always go towards, I'm a big fan of the, whatchamacallit, like the meat and cheese.
Oh yes, the sticks and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like prosciutto and mozzarella.
Oh yeah.
Like that. I'll grab that for a snack that's out there. Also, like a big fan of almonds. I go, I can't really eat plain nuts at all. I know that some people who track sodium, but me personally, sodium doesn't necessarily affect me as what, say, sugar does. So I normally eat that. But again, it's that portion. I'm not going to eat the entire bag of it at that time. Beef jerky. I think beef jerky is a great alternative that's out there. If you eat meat, that is a great alternative that's out there. Is there anything else that kind of comes to mind when you're out there, Mark?
Yeah, so I think there was one question about quality versus quality foods versus quantity,
yep.
and I think that kind of both of those go all together in this one answer. And I think it kind of comes back down to, you've got that certain amount of calories that you can consume, and that if you consume that amount of calories, you maintain your weight. And if you're trying to lose weight, you're trying to get into a caloric deficit. So within that weight, so let's say if you eat 2,000 calories a day, you're losing weight over time, right? And the more of a caloric deficit you are, the faster you lose weight. But the harder it is too, because you're not eating as much, right?
Yeah.
But within that 2,000 calories, I look at quality foods, and you can get into like the amount of vitamins and minerals, and there's definitely a whole rabbit hole you can go down. But for the bird's eye view, I look at it as, if you're eating crappy foods, those calories are going to be consumed a lot quicker than if you're eating quality foods like fruits, some of fruits, vegetables, lean proteins. You can eat larger quantities of that food before you hit that calorie deficit, before you hit the amount of calories. So
what are you, but I know where you're going, but before you do, what is your opinion on, like you're saying, 2,000 calories? What if I, maybe go to In-N-Out, grab a double and some fries, and I don't hit 2,000 calories for the day? Do you believe that calorie in, calorie out is the mechanism, or is it's got to be, you got to go low fat, or like whatever works best for your digestive cycle, we'll call it, if that's even a thing?
Yeah, I mean, so I think it kind of comes down to this. If you are If you are LeBron James and trying to be a peak performer and play at the highest world level, I would say let's look a little bit more on the typical, what exactly you're putting in your
Yeah.
food. If you are Chris Jolly and just trying to lose 10 pounds, I would say you're going to give yourself a headache and you're going to go down this rabbit hole that's just going to make you want to grab the box of Oreos and not care about your diet if you try
Yeah.
to get all in depth. And what it
Yeah.
ends up coming down to for every single weight loss is that you're in a caloric deficit. Now, like you said earlier, people know their bodies and know that they respond better to certain foods. They don't feel all gross. Some people can't handle dairy. Some people respond better to carbs, or, if you're eating protein and fats, you're, fuller for longer. So you're not snacking all day. But I think at the end of the day, if you want in and out, I wouldn't recommend going every single day, but man, I'm going to eat in and out every once in a while.
Yeah.
And I think you can still have that a part of your diet. And over time, as a trend, continue to lose weight if you stay within those boundaries. And
I was gonna say my buddy, he's a personal trainer. His name's Randy Erickson. He's out there. He's got some stuff kind of similar to his driver focus, but he's a personal trainer. He's got an app. I've been using him for a long time, but that's his mentality on it as well. Is you can eat that. It's just not every single day. And that, because again, like you're right, it's people build up this fatigue when they come to dieting because they do go 360 right away. They are out there and they're driving themselves insane with it. And then all of a sudden they're like, they don't see, like people think like we're just going to lose 40 pounds overnight or, in such a condensed short amount of time. And it's like, there's times that, and I know Robert Bain's in the comments. What's up, Robert? Paul,
strongest man in logistics. I love
Mr.
it.
Freight Caviar's here. Paul, what's going on, brother? But I just think that for me personally, it was accepting the fact that the number on this and not paying attention to that scale number. And again, this is my personal experience in this weight loss journey, because there are days where it's like, holy shit, I lost 3 pounds overnight. And then there's days where I'm like, why am I not losing any weight? And it's like, talk about that. Like when you do make those small incremental changes, how like your body at first recognizes it and it's almost like it's storing its fat. It's kind of like, what the hell are you doing here? Why are you changing? I like being fat and happy, So can you talk about that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think in general, whenever someone starts a diet, there is a normal, like when you hit that caloric deficit, there is a normal fast drop that's like an adrenaline, like, or an endorphin of like, yeah, I'm losing weight and stuff like that. But with any weight loss journey, unfortunately, people want it to look like this, right? The whole time. But when you zoom in, it's an up and down, and you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, but the trend is always going in the right direction. And I think you can't look at it, with tunnel vision and say, man, today is like a really crappy day. You have to take a step back and say, holy crap, look at the last 3 months. Look at the progress I've made. And, kind of going back to that, what we were talking about at truck stops is I look at eating healthy. I've got kind of this theory that I use right now, and I've been, I have a podcast coming out that I'm talking about it. But when it comes to eating healthy on the road for drivers, I think that there's 3 factors that they have to consider, right? Speed, price, and health.
Yeah.
And I think that when it comes to eating healthy on the road, you can always find 2 out of the 3, but it's very hard to check all 3 boxes off. So I look at, when I talk about eating healthy at truck stops, every single driver knows that there's healthy options at the truck stop. There are. I was at a Love's truck stop yesterday. I saw salads. I saw beef jerky, turkey jerky. I saw fruits. I saw hard-boiled eggs. I saw protein bars. I saw it all. But you're going to lose on the cost because it does cost a decent amount. It's expensive. Yeah. So I think that's one of the options where it's fast, it's healthy, but you're going to have to spend a little bit more money. At fast food restaurants, it's probably not the healthiest option, but it's cheaper and faster. But that being said, there are healthy options at every fast food restaurant. What we give the drivers, we've got restaurant guides for every single restaurant that they can go to on the road. And here's the healthiest options. And I think that's kind of going back and, talking about the truck stops, we give them and we kind of preach this healthy truck stop meal equation. And what it is we have a guide that helps them build a healthy meal at the truck stop. So you've got proteins, you've got carbs, you've got fats, and then we've got a bonus where if they want to pick up a veggie, right? And so protein, we've got Greek yogurt, turkey jerky, like you said, beef jerky, protein bars, maybe a turkey sandwich. Then you go to the carbs. You've got, fruits. You've got unsalted popcorn. If you want to get also, popcorn's a great option there.
For sure.
It's, pretzels are even bad, aren't terrible for you. And, getting a sandwich and having whole wheat bread on it. And then, for the fats, there's, hummus or peanut butter, nut butters, other almonds, stuff like that, and building your meal from there versus, going to the Wendy's that next door, that's connected to the truck stop and getting the ultimate baconator with 4 burgers, bacon. Yeah, it sounds good though. Yeah,
I know. Like I said, I'm a fat kid at heart, Mark. We can't go down that route.
Man, I wore husky pants growing up, just like you, man.
Dude, I did. And that's the thing. And let me see here. We got some more people down in the comments. Brian Reynolds again, like keeping that truck stop with good foods, and it's cheaper than eating in a truck stop. I want to talk about, because like there's a big push now for like meal prep companies that are out there. I haven't personally bought into that yet, but like I've done a lot of research on it. Trifecta, I'm going to give them a shout out. Anybody from Trifecta that's listening right now, give me a shout. Maybe we can talk about something like this, because I think that there's a massive market in here. But I think like finding out that way, because like they have really good food. I've personally used a meal prep service in the past. It wasn't one of these large nationwide ones, but again, like having that there, like, yeah, you know what? You do get to eat a burger in there. You do get to eat some good foods that are in there, but it's all balanced. It's that based on that caloric intake and everything that's out there. Like I personally, my snack of choice, I love apples with peanut butter. I weigh out the peanut butter, of course, but dipping that in there, man, I love that for a snack. But again, it's finding those healthy options that are out there. But it's like with the influx of meal prep programs that are out there in pre-made meals, like, dude, you get everything in there. You can go, like a lot of trucks have their their microwaves inside of their truck, or else they can go inside of the truck stop and heat that up. So I think like a large meal company like that, finding out a way to somehow get that inside of a truck stop, I think there would be a big push for that. I think like making it more of an available option out there. Because again, like you look at that, everybody's going to gravitate towards the Butterfinger and the Doritos over, hummus. Like, let's be real. But I think like if it was a full pre-made meal ready to rock that was based like, that was weighed out there for them, I would think that maybe they would give it a shot, because you know what? You get to eat steak in a lot of these things. You get to see that. And that's what, that's a big thing. But again, it's that portion size that's out there. And that's what's important, is that like, yeah, you're not going to be overly full, but you're going to get just enough calories that your body needs to function. And that's the key there.
Yeah, and I think when I talked to some of the drivers, like I was actually having a conversation with 2 of them yesterday, the problem with some of those meal, because they were talking about that too. And, I think getting it in the truck stops would potentially, make that problem go away, because they can go in and they're always at the truck stop trying to get one. But the storage and the availability of meal prepping and keeping it in their truck with the mini fridge and everything, which is a struggle for some of the over the road people. But if you're doing regional or, local, if you're doing local, you can pack your lunch and snacks for the day and be perfect. Right. And so, yeah.
No, I agree. I think that, again, like there needs to be, there just has to be other alternative options. Like there's a lot of large enterprise carriers that are out there. There are a lot of, they have drivers lounges. They have all of this stuff. Again, I'm not inside of them. I've never been inside of them, but like why not have those pre-made meals in there for them? I'm not saying they don't, but 85% obesity, let's say that that's not necessarily an option. But again, I think like having that, or, having your refrigerator that's out there. Like, I mean, I've had a mini fridge. I've been to college. I know what you can fit in there from a volume perspective. So I know that the packaging of a lot of these things, you can at least fit 3 days worth of food inside of there, So yeah, that might not be the best for the long haul, cross country drivers, but it's still, I mean, just imagine implementing 3 days of clean eating over a 7-day period. What differences that can start to make.
Yeah, and I think I really like how this conversation is going because it's not putting, I think when it comes to health, a lot of people put it all on the individual. And
Yeah.
I think, when you take a step back, this is an industry-wide problem. And I think when
Mhm.
there's an industry-wide problem, there has to be an industry-wide solution, talking from the companies,
Correct.
talking from the drivers, talking to the truck stops, like you were mentioning. And, I think the statistics are just like really it's scary and like shocking when you hear 85% of drivers are overweight. 1 in every 7 suffers from diabetes. And, the scariest one is that as a whole, truck drivers have a life expectancy 16 years less than the average population.
Jesus.
And, that is like, I don't know how to describe that, of just the fact and the sacrifice that people are making when they get in the truck and live that lifestyle. And I think that, you know, being an industry wide thing, and it's just kind of been the norm. And there's kind of a mindset now of drivers, well, I'm a driver, this is just how it is. And one of the missions of what we're trying to do is shift that mindset and give drivers an option to say, hey, there's a fork in the road. You can go down the path that a
Yeah.
majority of drivers have, or we can go down this other path and not, let these statistics take over your life.
No, absolutely. Kathy Smith had one about Instapot. I'm a huge Instapot fan.
Instapot's
She said
awesome.
that
Yep.
putting that out there. Got to give a shout out to Carla Isted. She's a driver with Western Flyer Express. She's in the comments right now as well.
Woohoo.
Shout out to Carla. Leticia Bustos as well. Shout out to you. Tony Darnell, TJ Knudsen. What's going on, guys? They're out there as well. But yeah, if you guys have any comments or questions for Mark, again, keep dropping them in the chat. We'll answer them as they come through. Again, there's a little bit of a delay for the hosting site here that we're using. So if you ask them, it might not come through for a couple of minutes. So just to keep a heads up on that, we're going to dedicate the last probably 10 minutes of the show to those questions as they come through. But yeah, keep that chat going. It's live out there right now. I appreciate all the support that you guys are showing us here today. So like, let's talk workouts that a driver could do. Like what, because again, it's everybody thinks like they got to stop, not stop, drop and roll, but I don't know why my head went there right away, but like they got to start. Exactly. But like they got to start doing everything at once. And again, like small incremental steps. And that's what worked for me in my weight loss journey. It was small incremental steps, because again, it's like to climb a mountain, to run a marathon, to do anything, you have to take one step, and it's like, what can a driver do? Is that when they park for the day that they're maybe take 2 laps around the truck stop, or like what's something small?
Yeah. So, I think that just our mentality at the Trucking Fitness Company is actually, in general, I prefer people to start with trying to get into exercise. And why I say that is because I found that in a weight loss journey and just people starting to live a healthier life, that if you exercise, there's this like weird effect that all of a sudden you want to eat a little bit healthier, you want to get a little bit better sleep. And there's just this holistic effect it has on people. And what we try to do is, there's a ton of barriers that make it really difficult for drivers to work out, right? Sometimes it's really difficult to try to find a gym to park your semi at.
Yeah.
The time constraints for a lot of people, they don't feel comfortable or they don't feel safe getting out at the truck stop and working out. And, the lack of, do I need to carry around all this gym equipment? And so what we've done is we've built a program out that takes away all those barriers, and it's an app based right on their phone. It's personalized based off of their current fitness level, and then also where they want to work out at, in their truck, outside of their truck, or even at home. And we also give them all the equipment they need. So we give them a resistance band, which is super light, easy to store, and you can almost replicate any single exercise. Are you going to be Robert in the comments deadlifting 1,000 pounds with a resistance band? No, but you can lose a lot of weight, and you can get really healthy that way. And I think that we've found just a lot of success with that, and it's awesome versus trying to carry around kettlebells or dumbbells, or even I've seen some people carrying around barbells and weight, which is pretty badass in my opinion, but not the typical person. But what we do is we give them workouts that they can, talking about in their truck. There's a lot of stuff with the resistance band, seated, doing squats from up and down in their bunk, doing some stuff lying down in their bed, push-ups at an incline, or planks at an incline. And then, I think when it comes to exercise in general and kind of getting away from our program, I think it's really important from a consistency standpoint for someone to find a style of exercise that they enjoy. Because
Yes.
I can tell you the science, and I can tell you what the research says is the best exercise. This is what you need to live the healthiest life. They have all of that. I can tell
Yeah.
you, I can write it out. But if you don't enjoy it and you don't consistently do it, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. No,
And so
definitely.
if you like walking, that's awesome. Start walking. If it's, like you said, 2 laps around the truck stop, I've got some people who bring their running shoes and they go out on a run. I don't like running myself, so I would never do that. And then, also doing stuff outside of the truck, using a resistance band, doing body weight exercises. Some of the
I think
stories.
that,
Yeah,
yeah, but I mean, like about body weight exercises, Mark, I think like those are highly underrated for how
totally.
effective they can truly be for your overall health. And again, like, yeah, because you're not going to be in a, like, sometimes depending on where your logs shut you down at for the night, you might not have access to a gym. There might not be something out there. I mean, obviously, like, look into the Planet Fitnesses of the world. And again, I'm not sponsored or affiliated by a Planet Fitness or anything or any of these gyms, but they are nationwide. There might be something that's out there that you can get into a gym when you're out on the road. And a lot of those gyms are in big parking lot areas. They're in where you can get your truck in and out. But again, and I understand like you're going to be in some of these areas, but like the body weight exercises are huge, and like talking about that, because yeah, say you do have shoulder, back and neck issues, you're not going to be throwing around weight like you could in a normal gym. So it's like, how do we utilize what we're made out of? I mean, gyms are a thing of just the last, 30, 40 years. What did people work out with before that? Their body weight.
Yeah, no, and I think especially if you're a driver, I think the best way is, number one, like I said, find something you enjoy doing. But number two, find something that you can do anywhere at any time, right?
Yeah.
If you're, if you have to find a gym, if you are in St. Louis one day and you're headed to, you're in Arizona, right? You're headed to
Yeah.
Arizona. You're dropping your miles or timed out. You might not be able to figure out where the gym's at, and you're Googling all over the place. I guess some people, I've heard Uber and do all that stuff, but it just adds barriers to making exercise as easy as possible. So if you can find a routine that you enjoy and that you can do in your truck or outside of your truck, doesn't matter where you're at in the world, I think that is setting you up for success. And that's kind of been the mindset and principles that we've developed our program around.
Yeah. Matt Hero in the comments. What's up, Matt? Go Pack Go. Matt's a Wisconsin guy. But yeah, he sends out here because Matt owns Fresh Freight located out of Phoenix here. And yeah, they used to send drivers to the YMCA for a day pass. There's free. Plus, like a lot of these things have showers that are going to be probably more cleanly than the truck stop options that are out there. And then furthermore, there's a lot of women in this industry that are coming in to become drivers. I mean, again, like I don't know the statistics behind it, but well-lit parking lots where these gyms are located at, there's other people there, there's staff there, there might be more secure and safe for the female drivers or the male drivers as well. But again, like looking into some of those things, and it's like, I would love to see that. I would love to see like some of these companies pair up, and who knows, this might be a business idea for somebody out there right now where they have an app for drivers. Mark, you might even want to institute this about gym locators, meal options, Uber Eats, something along those lines for drivers to utilize from their phone. That might be something for you to add on to yours for like, hey, you know what? I am in Tulsa, Oklahoma. What do they have for a gym? Is there a nationwide one that I have a membership to? Maybe we could get discounted gym memberships for our drivers that are out there. You never know. The possibilities are truly endless.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I think that they're, like you said, if you have some creativity in it, who knows what the solution is, and there's something out there for every problem. But, I think kind of going back to what you said about the female drivers, and it's funny because the percentage of female drivers in our program is so much higher than the percentage of female drivers in the industry, because in general, they seem to want to care about their health a lot more. And everyone's a little bit different, but that's just the trend, right? And what we did before we launched our program, this was a year and a half, 2 years ago, was we had a beta group of a bunch of drivers. And one of the things that when I talked to the beta group and I spoke to every single one of them every single week, one of the things that one of the female drivers in the program suggested was, hey, I don't feel comfortable or safe getting outside of the truck. And at that point, we didn't have an in the truck workout option. And we've developed that. And that's been the number one most popular thing when people sign up is, hey, I want to do it in the truck. And so I completely agree that, yeah, you're going to see some people out inside or outside at the truck stops or trying to find a gym. But there's a lot of people who are wanting to do something in the, at home workout in their truck, right, in their cab. And I think there's a lot of options, and there's a lot of people losing weight through figuring out and nailing down their nutrition and working out in their truck.
No, definitely. So, all right, I think like, because naturally everybody hears, eating healthy and working out, and they think like it's just an insurmountable goal. That it's not for them, and it's again, I've been that fat kid. I'll say it. I was fat. All right. I was obese. I was overweight. And it takes a toll on you. So anybody out there who's listening or will listen to this, I can sympathize with where you are. But that change that comes along with it, that increased energy, that drive to want to do more, and make, so you're going to sleep better. Like, I mean, how about sleep apnea? Sleep apnea, a big issue amongst a lot of drivers out there, and like undiagnosed too,
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. And, obesity is aspect of that. And there's also some genetic components to it too. But yeah, I mean, I think, I'm in no means an expert of sleep apnea, but I think that it's a huge issue within the industry. There's a lot of people talking about it. But from a long-term standpoint, yes, getting them on the CPAP, getting them in the, the right coaching on how to, implement the medical, procedures for sleep apnea is really important. But there's also the exercise and trying to get into a healthy weight, getting into a routine of healthy eating. That's a huge component of it too. And so, I think that there's just a lot of aspects out there. And, I look at, for me personally, my fitness journey is just as much physical as it is mental. I use exercise as a relief and a way to turn my brain off, get away from all of the stresses of life, and just have some me time. And I think that, after that first couple sessions, first week of getting into exercise, you start to see that little flip and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to work out. I need my time. And so.
No, I agree. And then TJ, what's up, TJ? He dropped in there. Yeah, I've completely spaced on this at the time, but yeah, Anthony Petit with Truck Park.
Oh yeah.
His app does have membership options and health ideas tied in there for the driver. Truck parking, get out there and get your preset parking paid for and everything else. So reach out to Anthony Petit on that. But yeah, I mean that's, I think like, what are your thoughts on people? Like, is it that incremental, I'm going to work out today, but not tomorrow thing? Or is it, I got to do something every single day to keep them on track? Because I think like, me personally, I have to do something. Otherwise, if I don't, again, I'm the biggest lazy fat kid out there. I don't want to do anything. So I have to do it every single day. And and again, it's like some workouts are very strenuous. I exert a lot, but then on those other days, it is just taking a 45-minute walk outside and it's just staying active. It's keeping that. I'm a firm believer that, again, you got to do stuff. You can't stop. And again, for me personally, throughout all of this, me staying active on a daily basis is what saved me. Because again, if I take a day off, man, I'm done. Like, I'm going to find every excuse in the world to not do anything tomorrow. And that's not to say like, you got to go out there and throw weights around every single day. It might be something as light as just taking a bike ride if you can, or again, going for a light walk or something to keep your heart rate up and to stay motivated.
Yeah, I think that there's two different types of people. Obviously there's a million different types of people in the world, but two big categories. And I think there's people very similar to you where if they're going to do it, they need to do it every single day, and it needs to become a habit. And from from the how to build a habit, I think that there's a lot of benefits from checking the box every single day, and just it slowly becomes a part of your routine. I think there's other people who live by their calendar and they're like, hey, I can do it. I can put it on my calendar 3 times a week, and I know I'm going to do that. And that's a successful way for some people to say, hey, okay, I can't commit to it every single day, but I'm going to start this week doing it 2 times a week. All right. I do that for a month. Okay, this is pretty good. Now I'm going to add another session 3 times a week, and just kind of slowly building up from there versus kind of throwing yourself all in. And, if you throw yourself all in and make it a part of your daily routine, that doesn't mean you need to do an hour and a half every single day. Our workouts are 20 minutes long. They fit into drivers' mandatory break, but also we have an exercise of the day that takes like 5 minutes. We've had drivers who just switch their nutrition up through our Level Up program and just do the exercise of the day, and they've lost weight over time. And I think it's really just figuring out in some trial and error and figuring out, hey, what works best for me and what can I do consistently and not fall off on.
No, I'm right there with you, man. And I think like that's big is diet for me was 90% of my issue. And I think like that goes for a lot of people. I think that changing up your diet and getting that dialed into what works best for your body type will have more of like, again, this is just me personally speaking. It had more of an effect on me and it made me want to work out. You know, when I saw my body starting to change, it made me want to get into the gym. And then when I got into the gym and I started experiencing that euphoric high that you get from working out, and then I'm like, damn, my clothes are fitting better. Everything's working better. I'm sleeping better at night. I'm more energized in the morning, you know? And again, I like it's finding what time. So like I work out early mornings. That's when I'm peak in my own head. Later on in the day, dude, I'm shot. I don't want to do shit. I want to sit on my couch. I want to kick my feet up, but that's why I work out every single morning. So I can do that at night. But again, I think like, hey, if you're not a morning person, find out when you're at your peak. Cause like, dude, my wife, you know, she could stay up till midnight every night. Everything's great. So she works out at night when she's done with work. It's different for her. You know, again, I think people need to take away from that mass acceptance of this is the way it's done for everybody and find what works for you. Get that trial and error out there. What, you know, from like a food cycle, like Mark, what foods work like great for you, for example, and what might not work for somebody else, you know, like from a digestive cycle, that's a real thing. And again, I know we already kind of touched on that a little bit, but talk about the importance of carving out and finding what works best for your diet. Cause you know, Oscar Ramos is in there, that diet, cause the diet is the bulk of becoming healthier. 80-20 rule applies there. But yeah, so let's kind of touch on that for the next couple of minutes on what should somebody do? Like, I know we've talked about the healthy eating things, but like, what is something, again, it's that, where do I start? Because I think like that fear of starting is going to always be the biggest thing. So what would to end it all out, what would there be? Is it the meals? Is it the start with one, or how does that work?
This is a big pressure right here, ending it out. No, just all right. So here's how I look at it. I think similar to like what I said is I think that a lot of people say it's all or nothing when it comes to diet. That's why they say I'm either eating unhealthy or I'm eating healthy. And it's which side of the fence am I on today? Which side of the fence am I on at this meal? And I don't look at it like that. And I don't think it's the best way or best approach to look at it like that. I look at it as a spectrum, right? And on this side of the spectrum, you've got eating healthy, you're in peak, you know, your peak health. Yep. And on this end of the spectrum, you are unhealthy, you're eating the triple baconator from Wendy's, blah, 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 right? And I think most people are somewhere here in the spectrum and somewhere here. And I think the best approach for you is to say, instead of saying, hey, how can I jump all the way over here or all the way to the healthy side? How can I get 5, 10, 15% healthier today?
Yeah.
And so that might look like, hey, okay, well, I really like drinking soda, right? Well, there's a lot of sugar and a lot of empty calories there. Yeah. Why don't we switch to a diet soda or a 0-calorie beverage where, hey, we cut down some of the calories. You still get, I'm not forcing you to drink plain water, even though you probably should. But
just drink a lot.
But you know, finding ways that you can cut down the calories or just be 5% healthier today, because 5% healthier, number one, it's a lot easier to say, you know, okay, well, you know, today, instead of Doritos as a side, I'm going to eat some grapes. It's a lot healthier, or you can do that more consistently than saying, okay, instead of Doritos in a sandwich, I'm going to make a salad, and then I'm going to grill chicken and make this perfect meal. And that might last today, but it's probably not going to last if you make that shift for the long run. And so I think small changes that, if you're trying to lose weight, help decrease the calories that you're consuming throughout the day. And then for most people, for me included, right, I'm sitting right now at like 200 pounds. I've been around 200 pounds for the last, year, let's say. Mm-hmm. If I found ways to cut out 200, 300 calories, over time, I'm going to start losing weight because I've been at my maintenance calories and I'm just finding ways to cut slow. You know, I'm
Yeah.
slowly cutting out calories. And I think that approach is a lot from just a mental and figuring out where to start a lot easier than, you know, okay, well, I need to sign up for this huge weight loss program. Okay, now I need to go to the grocery store and buy this huge grocery store meal plan, and then I got to learn how to use my oven that I haven't used because I don't cook very out. You know what I'm saying? It's
I
there's just
gotcha.
So that's kind of my suggestion.
No, absolutely. And you know, that this show flew by, Mark. I got to have
Yeah.
you back, man, because again, like this is a big issue in our industry, and this is something that we need to continuously talk about. We need to get creative in how we can bring these resources out there, because again, we got to help everybody in our industry, you know, and the stats that you threw out there are extremely alarming to me, with 85% obesity and the 16-year less life cycle. Like, there's something we got to do. I think personally, a great place to start tracking your food, start writing down everything you eat in a day. And it might shock you on how much you're actually eating. That was a big eye opener for me. So I think we start there. That's it for today. I know we're a little over, but again, it's my show. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want sometimes. And if we're a couple minutes over, we're a couple minutes over.
Trucking, big wheels there humming, high rate of fuel consumption, missing mama, needing loving, rolling with the weight of sound, running like the Southern Shaker. I don't need